The city doesn't sleep. It just goes quiet in a different way at 3 a.m. The kind of quiet that has weight to it. The kind that presses against your chest when you're standing in a place you shouldn't be, holding something you weren't supposed to touch. You're not there yet, but you will be. Every system has an entry point, a door that looks like an opportunity, a hand that looks like help, a moment that looks, from where you're standing, like the beginning of something good. The Russian underworld has operated for over a century, through czars, through gulags, through the collapse of an empire, through the chaos that followed. It adapted, it evolved. It absorbed everything the state threw at it and emerged on the other side stronger, more structured and invisible in ways that governments still don't fully understand. It is not chaos. It is architecture, and like any architecture, it has levels. At the bottom, a 19-year-old with an envelope and $30 American and no idea what he's carrying. At the top, a man whose name appears on nothing, whose face is in no database, who moves approximately $2 billion annually through 19 jurisdictions and spends Tuesday mornings drinking espresso by the sea. Between those 2 points, 40 years, 8 levels, a complete transformation of everything you think you are. This is not a story about crime. It's a story about a system, about how systems reshape the people inside them, about what you gain at each level and what you surrender without noticing, and how by the time you notice, you no longer have a word for what you lost. Level 1. The errand boy. The envelope is heavier than you expected. You don't open it. You were told not to open it. That's the first rule you learn. Not because anyone sat you down and explained it, but because the man who handed it to you looked at you in a way that made the thought disappear on its own. You're 19. You grew up in Lubertsy, a Moscow suburb that smells like diesel and old concrete. Your father worked a factory line until the factory closed. Your older brother knows a guy. The guy knows a guy. That's how it starts, not with a dramatic recruitment, not with a speech. Just an envelope and the address and $30 American folded into your jacket pocket. You deliver the envelope. You don't ask what's inside. 3 days later, another envelope, then a package, then a phone you're told to carry but never answer unless it vibrates twice, pauses, then vibrates again. You're not in the organization. You don't have a title. You're not even a name to most of the people above you. You're a function, a pair of legs. But you're useful, and useful things get kept. You notice everything, the way certain men nod at each other outside certain cafes. The cars that idle too long. The businesses that always seem open but never have customers. You file it away without meaning to. You're being watched. You don't feel it yet. But the watching is how they decide if you graduate. One night, a man in a gray coat hands you a phone number and says, "Memorize it, then forget you have it." You do both. That's when you realize you're already thinking like them. You don't know what you've walked into. But some part of you, quiet and honest, already does. Level 2. The associate. You're not an errand boy anymore. You know this because Dmitri, a broad, unhurried man with a scar along his jaw, uses your name when he speaks to you. In this world, that's a promotion. You run a 2-block stretch near Tekstilshchiki. Cigarettes, phones, small packages. Nothing so heavy it can't be explained away. You collect from 3 shops, a dry cleaner, a phone repair place, a grocery that's been in the same family for 40 years. You keep 30%. The rest moves up. The math is simple. The psychology is not. The grocery owner, Arkady, is 63. He always pays. But one Tuesday he's short by 400 rubles and he looks at you with something that might be shame or might be contempt, and you have to decide in real time who you are in this moment. You take what he has. You make up the difference yourself. You don't tell Dmitri, that was mercy. Mercy cost you money. You don't let it happen again. By month 4, you clear the equivalent of $2,800 in a month. Cash, untraceable, more than your father made in 3 months at the factory. You buy new boots. You buy your mother a coat. You tell her you've been doing odd jobs. You believe she believes you. You start to understand the invisible architecture of the streets around you. Who answers to who? Which businesses are protected? And which are prey, which cops are paid, and which ones you step around. It's not chaos, it's a system. And systems, once understood, can be navigated. You are becoming someone who navigates. The thing you don't notice yet, you've stopped flinching. Level 3, the soldier. Dmitri introduces you to a man named Volkov. You shake hands. Volkov's grip is neither firm nor weak. It's simply final, like a door closing. He's ready, Dmitri says. You don't know what you're ready for. You find out within a week. A shopkeeper in Kuzminki decided to stop paying. Decided he'd rather call a lawyer. File papers make noise. You and 2 others visit him on a Thursday evening after closing. You don't touch him. You stand in his shop and you look at everything he's built, the shelves, the photos on the wall, the register, and you let him understand what looking like that means. He pays on Friday. Double. No one was hurt. No. But something shifted inside you that Thursday evening, and you knew it, and you filed it under necessary and moved forward. You're a soldier now. You have a crew. 3 men who take direction from you on smaller matters, while you take direction from Volkov on everything that counts. Your income is $8,000 a month. Some of it comes from collections, some from logistics, moving product through routes you don't ask about, some from what Volkov calls resolution fees. You don't ask about those either. You develop a reputation for being calm. In a world of men who use aggression as their primary language, calm is unusual. Calm is noticed. Calm is, eventually, feared, because no one knows what it's hiding. You know what it's hiding. Nothing. You've just learned that most problems resolve themselves if you wait long enough and say little enough. You go home, you eat dinner, you sleep without difficulty. That used to mean something different than it does now. Level 4, the Brigadier Volkov gives you a territory, not a street. Not a block, a territory. 4 neighborhoods, 11 active operations, 62 people whose livelihoods and safety depend in some structural way on decisions you make. You are 26 years old. You have a legal business now. An import company registered clean that moves auto parts from Lithuania. It loses money on paper. That's the point. The paper is the fiction. The fiction is the product. You manage 2 layers below you. You don't handle collections personally anymore. You handle disputes, logistics, planning, and the occasional sit-down with men who used to intimidate you and no longer can. Your cut of operations touches $40,000 in a strong month. None of it touches your name. You make decisions about people now. Who gets an extension on a debt, who doesn't, who gets absorbed and who gets removed. Removed meaning reassigned. Usually, the word carries ambiguity, and you've learned to use that ambiguity as a tool. You attended dinner in a private room above a Georgian restaurant on Tverskaya Street. 8 men around a table. You are the youngest by 15 years. They speak carefully. They eat slowly. You understand that everything said in this room is a move and everything unsaid is also a move. You hold your own. On the way home, you sit in the back of a black Mercedes and you look out the window at the city and you notice you feel nothing in particular. Not pride, not guilt, not satisfaction. You are becoming very efficient. Level 5. The title isn't given in a ceremony. There's no speech, no contract. You simply understand one afternoon that the men around you are waiting for your opinion before they form their own. That's the marker. That's how you know. 4. Vizakani. Thief in law. A man inside the old code. The code that says you owe nothing to the state, take no government benefits, serve no sentence that breaks you, and maintain authority through respect. Not just fear. You've been to prison. Once, 14 months. A facility outside Tver, on a charge that was assembled specifically to test you. You knew it was a test. You served it without cooperating, without complaint, without trading information for comfort. You came out lighter in weight and heavier in everything else. That was 3 years ago. Now you are someone that other powerful men ask to mediate. You settle a dispute between 2 competing operations over port access in St. Petersburg. You spend 4 days in careful conversations, moving between sides, reading what each party actually wants versus what they claim to want. You find the margin where both can feel like they won. The agreement holds. You take no money for this. Your payment is that both operations are now connected to your name in a way that costs them nothing and costs you nothing and makes you, quietly, indispensable. Your power now lives in relationships, not territory. Territory can be taken. Relationships compound. You are one of 37 men in Russia who hold this standing. You know 14 of them personally. You trust 4 of them. You sleep less easily than you used to. Level 6. The regional authority. You don't attend meetings anymore. Meetings come to you. You have interests now, legitimate and otherwise, in 6 Russian cities, 2 Baltic states, and a property portfolio in Cyprus that exists inside a set of shell structures so layered that even your own attorneys can only see 2 levels deep. You speak with politicians, not at events, privately. In the way that money speaks, through proximity, through favors, through the quiet understanding that your continued goodwill is worth more than your opposition. A regional governor owes you something significant. You've never articulated what. The power is in the ambiguity. You have a wife, 2 children, both in school in Switzerland. Your wife knows the general shape of what you are. She doesn't know the specific dimensions. The marriage works the way many things at this level work, through mutual interest and selective blindness. You have not felt afraid in 4 years. This should be a comfort. It is not, entirely. Fear is information. It tells you when the terrain is dangerous. Without it, you have to rely on other people's fear to calibrate your position. That means you need to keep people around you who are still capable of being afraid. You have one person like that. His name is Gennady. He was a soldier once. He's 40 now, loyal past reason. And when something is genuinely wrong, you can see it in him before you can see it anywhere else. He is the most valuable person in your organization. He doesn't know that. Level 7. The shadow partner. Your name appears on nothing. Not in court documents, not in business registries, not in the investigative files that Europol and the FSB maintain on organized crime operations across Eastern Europe. You have audited your own exposure methodically, year by year, and you have removed yourself from every surface that can be touched. What you have instead of presence is influence. Structural, invisible, embedded in the decisions that visible men make because of pressures they experience but cannot name. You move through the world without friction. You fly private. You stay in properties owned by entities owned by entities. When you need something done in a city, you contact someone who contacts someone, and the thing gets done and no line connects back to you. You are 51 years old. You think about this sometimes. You have spent 32 years becoming untouchable. You have achieved it. And the achievement means that the things that made the climb meaningful, the tension, the calculation, the physical reality of consequence, are mostly gone. Your world is quiet now in a way that is not peaceful. You receive a report that a man 3 levels below you in the network has been skimming from a Riga operation. The report is delivered in a coded message through a law firm in Nicosia. You read it once. You make a call. You return to the book you were reading. You don't know what happens next. You don't need to. That's the sentence you would have died for 20 years ago. Now it just means a Tuesday, level 8, the architect. Nobody knows your full name. Your first name exists. It's on a passport, one of 4, 2 of which no living person could connect to your face. Your operational name has changed 3 times. The name your inner circle uses is a word in a private language that only 8 people alive speak. You built this. Not the name, the architecture. The structure underneath the structure. The financial geography that moves approximately $2.3 billion annually through sovereign vehicles and real assets across 19 jurisdictions. You did not build it alone, but you are the only one who can see the whole of it. That is the only kind of power that's permanent. Not the power to compel. Anyone with enough violence can compel. The power to be the only one who understands how something works. You are 60 years old. You live between 3 residences, none of which your children know about. Your children are adults now. They have lives in Europe that are clean and documented and real. You funded those lives with money that passed through enough layers to emerge on the other side as legitimate. They think you were a successful businessman who retired early. You let them think that. There is almost no one left who knew you when you were nothing. Dmitry died of a heart attack in 2019. Volkov is in a facility outside Moscow, serving 15 years, saying nothing. The grocery owner, Arkady, you have no idea. He's probably dead. You sit on a terrace in Montenegro on a Tuesday morning. The sea is very blue. You drink espresso. You read a financial report from a law firm you've never been to. You feel very dimly something you don't have a precise word for. Not regret, not pride. Something closer to the silence after a very long conversation. You think about the boy. You were 19, holding an envelope, learning not to ask questions. You remember the weight of it in your hands. You think, that boy had no idea. You think, neither did I. Somewhere in Lyubertsy, a 19-year-old is standing outside a cafe, hands in his jacket pockets, waiting for a man he barely knows to tell him what to do next. He's been offered an envelope. He thinks this is an opportunity. He doesn't understand what it is yet. But he'll spend the next 40 years finding out, and by the time he does, really does, it will be too late to want anything different. The door opens. He goes in.